Seven Kingdoms is a band that have been around for a fair few years. The first album came out in, I believe, 2007 with an entirely different members to what we have today. So yeah, that's right. None of the members of Seven Kingdoms are the original members. I think every single person is new. So all the people who were on the first album, you had a male vocalist, you had the guitarist, the bass, the drummer, all of that. I think every single one of them's gone. There may be one, but I'm pretty sure all of them are gone and it's a whole new band. So the first album, as I say, came out in 2007. It didn't have great production values. It had a male singer. And this album came out... Oh god, I forgot what it came out. I think it came out in 2017, this album, Decennium. And the band now has twin lead guitarists. It's got a bass player, you've got a drummer, there's no keyboardist, and they actually have a female singer this time, which is obviously a huge difference and different contrast to that of what a male could deliver vocally. What is the band genre-wise now then? Well, the band is power metal, and I'm with you. I understand a lot of people's concern. Now, for people who know me, will know my disappointments with the typical power metal genre, and they are fair points. Even if you enjoy power metal and these things don't bother you, I think you will understand where I come from and go, that is a valid point, I understand that, but personally for me, I accept this. And that is perfectly fine. If you are okay with this sort of thing, then that's fine. And for me, I think I have a fairness in thinking what I think, and I think you'll understand that, and I can understand why others will also like what I dislike. So there's a give and take to it. But the problem with power metal, in my opinion, and probably opinion of a few others, I don't think I'm alone in this, power metal kinda has this formula that constantly gets regurgitated over and over and over again. And it's not just in one band, it's in thousands of power metal bands. You'll always have titles about kings and horses and riding and swords and knights and dragons and medieval style things and mystical things. I was walking through the enchanted forest and an elf came out and there was Gandalf and then he shoved his wand up my arse. You know, all these weird things like that. And yeah, for a one-off thing, it'll kind of be unique and it's kind of fantasy-based, so fair enough. But the fact that it's done constantly, it gets a little kind of stale. You can't really expect to just sit down and say, I'm going to listen to this one album for the rest of my life, and I will like it exactly the same on the 1000th day compared to the day when I first listened to it. If you're constantly listening to that one album, that's all you're listening to, I'm pretty sure by the 1000th day, you're going to dislike it a hell of a lot compared to when you first listened to it. Because things get stale, you need to keep reinventing, you need new things, you need to keep things evolving and growing, and power metal doesn't really do that. Vocally, there's a style, backing vocals, there's a style, lyrically, as I say, they always stick to this kind of same thing, which isn't anything big or epic, and these lyrics aren't really going to be something that is very moving or really thought-provoking or something that kind of teaches you something like, God, I need to kind of look more into that, or I do take life for granted, you know, something to teach you, or a concept story of something that kind of really moves you and you're like, that was such a really deep story and really well told. No, it's just about knights fighting and then I ride my sacred dragon called Bob, and it's just like, what the fuck? And it gets really stale, and as I say, vocally they have their style, musically it has the style, lyrically it's the same style, and it gets very stale. So, Seven Kingdoms are power metal, and I am reviewing them. Now usually I avoid albums which I don't like, which is a foot ton of their bands, because then I'll just be hating on so many things. I usually will gravitate more towards things I like and want people to know about. But on occasion I can do reviews on bands that I really dislike and I think are overhyped, because I really want to give an alternative opinion to the kind of sheep monotony that everyone likes it, so everyone should. And I like to put my opinion out there because people don't really form their own opinions. A lot of people kind of just follow in the line of others. So the Seven Kingdoms album, Decennium, how do I feel on it? Well, I do really like this album. The vocals are unbelievable. This woman has an amazing power behind her voice. There's some line she says where she's got such ferocity and such power behind it. And the guitars themselves, they have this really modern sound to them, and they are so heavy and aggressive. Like when I played this in my car the other day, I had the volume turned so far up to where the speakers were vibrating and my head was pulsing because the sound was so loud because the volume was just ludicrously high, that it had so much energy because the riffs are so fast and they're so ferocious and it is so aggressive and full of energy. And then her voice again, when she gets that ferocity into her voice and the aggression, and she just soars and her voice is so epic. It is such a fun album. Like, it's not something which is slow. It's never slow. It is high energy throughout, furious energy. It's not something which you kind of have to sit down and relax to. Can't do that. It's not melodic. You can't relax to this. It's not an album which you sit and you contemplate and you dissect it a lot. It's an album you just really have a fuck ton of fun with. So vocally, she's fantastic. Guitars, they are very modern. They are very aggressive. The solos are very intense. There is a lot of showmanship. You don't really get a musical solo, so they are very kind of accustomed and kind of a one-style trick pony type of thing. They don't really have a lot of versatility to them because of this, but as I say, everything is just great fun, so I can kind of forgive it to a degree. As for the lyrics are unbelievably atrocious. So in the song Undying, you have amazing riffs. Like the song Undying, the riffs are so aggressive, so heavy, and so fast. And then her singing, her voice is quite fluid in this track, so she kind of fades into the music. And she's not, you know, kind of, usually singers are in the forefront, but here she's mixed into the mix. It's the one-off track, so it just kind of makes it unique. So it's not a problem that she's a bit kind of difficult to hear because she's mixed so far in. I just think it makes everything a bit more fluid. But saying it's aggressive, the vocals are great. It is so heavy, this track. She's singing about dragons. You hear dragons in this track and you just roll your eyes and you think, crying out loud, this is cringy. The track In the Walls, again, it is so heavy, it's so ferocious and aggressive. And it's about, this is a line in the chorus, and this is what the song is basically about. It is the rat in the wall. It is the rat in the wall. And that's how it goes. The fact is they back that line up because they think it's so awesome. Like, wow, what a great, powerful line. It was the rat in the wall. What the fuck does that mean? What has that got to do with anything? What the hell does that mean? It was the rats in the wall. Wow. Great. Like, what the hell are you supposed to do with that? It is so cringy and so pathetic. So yeah, Undying, you have dragons in the walls. It's a song about rats in walls. Then you've got songs of Kingslayer, which is about, I don't know, protecting a king and castle walls, and there's this Kingslayer out to kill him. And then Castles in the Snow. And then you've got other tracks like this track title just sounds terrible. The Tale of Death-Faced Guinea. What the hell does that mean? The Tale of Death-Faced Guinea? You really think that's a smart title track and people are not gonna laugh at you for that? I'm gonna tell you the Tale of Death-Faced Guinea, like, how fucking pathetic. These lyrics are so cringy and so bad. It is so childish. And yeah, I know there is people out there who like the fancy lyrics and they're really into the knights and they buy swords and they put them on their walls and everything, but it is a little kind of childish, and you must admit so many bands do this thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna sing about a kraken and I'm a pirate and I'm a knight and oh, I'm a dragon this and our beer and fuck knows what. It's just like, it's not mature, is it? You can't really say this is a really mature, thought-provoking thing when you are singing about fighting a kraken and you're a pirate who's pissed to high heaven. And every other band has done this song. Kingslayer. Yes, I haven't heard that before. Undying, there's songs of dragons. Yes, I have never heard that before either. Be original, for crying out loud. Because when it's like, what makes this band in particular special and unique? What makes you better than the other power metal artists that all come before you and even after you? What makes you stand out and be unique and puts you above the rest? Because lyrically, that's not working, is it? Because all of you share the exact same lyrics. Your lyrics are better, it's new, it's exciting. No, there's thousands of songs out there about dragons and knights and kings and krakens and pirates. How is that going to separate you from the rest of the crowd when you're about the billionth band that does it? You are not original. It's not original, it's very cringy, it's very childish. They are god-awful lyrics. And it doesn't make you stand out on your own. It's not unique, it's not special, it doesn't make you better. You're exactly the same as a billion other bands. And that's a fact. And it's a fact that really is disappointing. Because you want to be unique, you want to stand out and be different. And draw people in because you are something new and exciting. But lyrically, clearly you're not. If you're about the billionth band that does it, you have plagiarized a fuck ton of bands. Who have then plagiarized a fuck ton of bands, who have then plagiarized a fuck ton of bands. And the cycle keeps going round and round and round. But, as you can remember from the start, I did say I actually really enjoy this album. And the reason for that is, just ignore the fucking lyrics. If you ignore the lyrics, this album is a hell of a lot of fun. As I said, they have this really aggressive, modern, brutal metal sound to them. That is quite different. This is the thing that kind of makes them different from the typical power metal sound, which is usually quite tinny and metallic. This is very, very bass-driven, modern, heavy metal. And as I said, the female's voice, like, usually females in metal, they're not around a lot, and usually when they are, the music all has to get a lot softer for their more kind of operatic, softer voice, because they don't really have the power to keep up with the, big boys. But as for her, like, she keeps up. She has a fuck ton of power behind her, and there is no loss in heaviness in the slightest. So that makes it, again, quite unique, because bands like that has a female singer that can keep up with these guys, it's quite hard to find. There's only a handful of them. The majority of females in metal are, unfortunately, you have melodic verses constantly with just bass, and then some kind of operatic kind of chorus, but they're just kind of barring chords and everything, because you can't overdo it, because the distortion just kind of drowns them out. It's quite ridiculous. So yeah, her voice is unbelievably powerful. Like, in the walls, her vocals in that pre-chorus, she is just absolutely belting this aggressive stuff out. like, I am the monster within, or something like that. As I say, I'm not really paying attention to the lyrics, because the second I do, it's just like, fucking me, this is awful. But, yeah, the track In The Wall, she is belting out some serious fucking things. Like, she has so much power and aggression. Her voice literally sounds like it is gonna completely shred her vocal cords. She has so much aggression in parts of that track. And as I say, the solos are a fuck ton of fun. The verses, the riffs, they are so fast, so ferocious. The sound of them are so fat and beefy, and I absolutely love it. They don't lose technicality. Usually the more bass and beefiness you put in, you kind of start losing, what's the word? You can't distinguish each and every note because it gets kind of drowned in this muddied sound. Because if you're doing a lot of stuff really fast and there's a lot of bass, then it's just a lot of fat noises and you can't articulate these notes. Pro for this band, they don't lose the aggression and all that bass, and they don't lose all the articulation. All of it remains, which is fantastic. You can hear every note, you can hear everything that they're doing. They are still very, very heavy, very bass driven, really beefy stuff, really fast, intense solos from two guitarists. So you get long solos, they're very fast, very intense, brutal sounding riffs, all of them sound great. When this album is blasting, it is just unbelievably fast and loud and heavy and just exciting. Her voice, again, she has elements of saws and then absolute ferocious power. But there are backing vocals, and the backing vocals do go quite typical power metal, which is kind of like this kind of, how do I explain it? Backing tracks in power metal has this kind of gospel choir style to them. And it's just like, God, even the backing thing has, oh, that's just typical power metal. It doesn't fit anywhere else. It's just so power metal that that is what it is. So you lose originality again. And it is very predictable, and it's always the same thing, which gets very frustrating. There's no melodic track in this album, as I say. It is just completely intense the whole way through. Some tracks are better than others, like In The Walls is very, very heavy and aggressive, so is Undying. The Tale of Death Faced Guinea, unfortunately, is a little difficult to swallow. Never Ending, again, has great melodies to them. To say, it doesn't have melodic elements, I mean melodies as in it has great flow to the songs and great rhythms and alternating rhythms. And it just keeps everything so exciting because the songs just have so many different rhythms and flows to them, and then different catchy elements, and it just keeps everything so engaging. So Never Ending is great. Castles in Snow is again a really fun track with some really catchy stuff, so is Kingslayer. And you get 10 tracks on this album and it lasts over 15 minutes. It's 54, 57 something. So it's relatively long, not super long, it's not like progressive at all. You do get some bonus tracks, so you got the In The Walls EP Master bonus track and Undying EP Master bonus track. The thing is, the album has In The Walls and Undying. And then at the end of the album you get these tracks again, but it's the EP Master. I haven't even bothered listening to them because it's just like they're going to be exactly the same. It's just basically they did an EP before this album and then the tracks were on it, so it is the EP version, and when they did the album they just kind of changed a few things. It's like, it's not going to be changed too much, it is going to be relatively the same, and the album version is going to be the better version, so I just deleted the tracks. But then you get 2 bonus tracks after that at the end, which are re-recordings and bonus tracks of The Bloody Meadow as well as Stormborn. Now these tracks were on the first album. Now, re-recording tracks can be a little painful, because it's like, I've heard it once, just kind of redoing it and doing it again, now how different can it really be? And that's the problem with some re-recordings. It just kind of seems like they're trying to do a cash cow of, oh, we'll take our classics and just re-record them, and everyone will just be absolutely jumping all over the place, buying singles and things. and it's a cash cow basically in times. Or it's just the fact that the studio quality of the first album sucked so much and they just kind of made the quality a bit better, which is kind of fine, but you still kind of heard it before, so it's like, it's nothing really new or exciting. But as for this, as I said at the beginning, the first album was a male vocalist, and all of the band members, they're all different. And the studio quality goes up, so you get way better quality, you get a completely different singer, you get completely different band members who are going to have different vibes, different patterns, and a different way to kind of play and portray the songs and everything. So it is technically the same thing, but it is changed a lot. You have a whole new voice, which is, I mean, even a different set. You've got whole new band members, way better studio quality. So I really actually like it. The only problem is the song Stormborn, which actually has a fuck ton of screams in there by this male vocalist, and it's just like, this is a very modern metal sounding album, but does have a lot of inspirational ties to, you know, the early works of power metal that came out in, you know, the kind of 80s era. So Stormborn just kind of kills it, because it's like, it doesn't fit. This is a modern heavy metal, power metal album that draws a lot of inspiration from, you know, the early 80s power metal bands. And Screamo doesn't connect with bands in the 80s. That's this stupid new modern thing, so it's just like, you get an entire album of this modern metal with a lot of influence from 80s power metal, and it's like a complete hybrid of the two, which work in perfect harmony. And then you're just going really one-sided on Stormborn with the screams. And the screams are horrific, like they are so bass heavy, and I don't have a clue what he's saying. And there's no range to it whatsoever, it's just gargling. Like the start of the song, I just thought someone burped into the mic, I didn't even know it was a scream. And then later he started screaming, I'm like, oh fuck, here's the screams. So yeah, it's pretty pathetic. Stormborn, starting with a sound effect of a man burping and just stupid fucking screaming, and it really does not fit, it's got no place. But the female is still in there, the female singer, the band is still kind of there, so when fuckface fucks off and shuts his fucking face up, it's not bad. The Bloody Meadow is definitely the best, and it kind of actually works in the album, because the Bloody Meadows verse is actually a lot more melody based than what the rest of the album is, which is always this intense power and energy. The Bloody Meadows verse, it goes quite soft and kind of slow, and it's just like, this is really good change of pace, just calming things down. And if you don't want Stormborn because you're not into scream mode, then it's a great way to end the album by just kind of turning things down, so then you're left relaxed and not still in absolute high ballistic energy. It's a good way just to kind of relax and get you out of this album. So it comes from a different album, it has a whole different you know, sound to it, but obviously it is done in the style of this album. So it's different, but also fits. So it is perfectly well done. So that is kind of the album. The lyrics are complete trash and atrocious. They are god awful, these lyrics. They are so stupid and extremely childish. And there is nothing original about it. So I would urge the band to try and do something a little smarter and better written, and something a bit more meaningful instead of something extremely childish and silly. And has been done by billions of bands previously. Try to come up with something original and not just copy what everyone else is doing and singing about, because it doesn't make you special lyrical wise. As for the voice, as I say, her voice is unbelievably fantastic. Everyone should enjoy this voice. I don't see anyone having a problem with her voice. There is so much power and energy to it. The riffs and everything, they are so fast and ballistic and heavy. If you really want a really heavy, high energy album that just constantly brings the energy and aggression and has amazing talent, amazing tones, a fantastic voice, this album is perfect if you can just ignore these stupid lyrics. And as I say, the songs constantly kind of change in rhythmic styles, and they have all these different catchy elements. Like the first track, Stargazer, the pre-chorus goes a little kind of softer and melodic, and the band kind of disappear, and it sounds like it's got this sci-fi kind of element to it in this pre-chorus part. And it's like, well, that's a great kind of change of pace. It slows things down, then it brings the ferocity back on, and then they've got all the kind of wah, 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 and it's really powerful, really high energy stuff. So, rating the album is going to be an 8 out of 10. It's a great album. Great solos, unbelievable riffs, great catchy songs, brilliant voice, epic range to her, incredible power. The tones are fantastic. Like she has this effect on her voice that just makes her voice sound huge and epic in scale. The tones of the guitars are again epic. They are so fat and beefy and have such aggression to them, and this really modern heavy metal style to them, which you know, distinguishes them a little ways from the tone of power metal, which is that kind of metallic sound. And yeah, I just had a blast listening to it yesterday in the car. Just incredibly heavy. It was just like, this is so energetic. The power, the verses, I'm having so much fun. The amount of showmanship and music is incredible. Her voice is incredible. These verses and riffs are incredible. It doesn't go above the 8 just because the lyrics are so painful. And if it's just like it's missing 2 whole points because of lyrics, seriously, Zach? Is that the case? Well, no, that's not just the case. They have the backing vocals, which are very typical power metal, and they have certain aspects, like what the band does in this kind of playthrough. It's like, that's a kind of run and a play of what other power metal bands also do. So it's like, there's always these little nitty gritty things sprinkled through certain songs where it's like, oh, that is just power metal, and it shouldn't have been in there. That power metal verse shouldn't have been in there. The power metal backing vocals should not be in there. The power metal lyrics should not be there. And these things really drag it down. And even though musically it is fantastic and perfect, the vocals are perfect, the tones are perfect, and everything like that is perfect, and the catchiness is perfect, the energy is perfect, so much perfect. The band will never get above an 8. Ever. And I can say that and predict that. Now, I shouldn't predict things. That's kind of silly and a bit naive of me, people could say, but these lyrics will always hold them down. If they never go away from these type of lyrics and these backing vocals, it'll never get above an 8. Because lyrics like this do not deserve higher than an 8, because they are so crap and cringy, and it is so like a billion other bands. How can I give you higher when all your song lyrics are not original and there is nothing special about them? The backing vocals, there is nothing special or unique about them. There is nothing unique besides the fact that I just adore this woman's voice, and I adore the tone of the guitars, and I adore the solos and the energy and the verses, and they are such good fun. And that alone gets it the 8. But if they never change and divulge away from these lyrics, I cannot give them any higher, because I would never give a band like that high tier. Lyrics like that do not deserve to be in a tier higher than 8. It's great, but it will never be perfect if it stays like this. So, it's an album worth listening to, definitely, and some people may find it too jarring, the power metal elements, and I can fully respect that, to be honest. And some people, like myself, who find power metal very jarring, may be able to accept what the band does differently in the kind of sound that they have, to just forget the lyrics and move on from the certain aspects of power metal that they do put in their songs, and just enjoy just the sound and the tones and the showmanship that this band puts out. And for people who are typically into power metal, you'll just easily love this. It's an easy win for people into power metal. If you like power metal no matter what, even the cringy lyrics, this is higher than an 8 for you guys. This is my show, and for me it is an 8, and the band will never get above that until the lyrics change, as well as these pathetic titles, like the song The Tale of Death-Faced Guinea, and Castles in the Snow, and Kingslayer. Really, really cringy, and there's probably a fuck ton of songs out there with the exact same titles, and talking about the exact fucking same subject matter. So, that is it for me. As I say, great album, great vocals, great energy, fuck ton of fun. If you really want to have a great time with some epic metal, this is perfect for you. If you really can't stand power metal, then you'll have to see for yourself. It may work, it may not. But that is it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.